So, okay, let's read this article that is totally mind-blowing of what Carrie originally was like in the first draft before it was revised. This is, I mean, I've been obsessed with Carrie for literally years, and I haven't read anything like this. So we all know, I mean, anyone who's obsessed with Carrie knows that the first copy of the book, of the first draft, the very first draft, was fished out by Stephen King's wife, who wanted him to keep going on with it. But what we didn't know before was that he also had a friend who was helping him write, was giving him advice and stuff. So, here was what Carrie was like before they gave him their advice. So, Carrie White wasn't very likable in the first draft. I couldn't put my finger on why. You just plain didn't like her. You didn't care for her. Okay, this is the really interesting part. The earlier draft of Carrie featured a much more fantastical version of the prom sequence. In this version, Carrie shot lightning bolts out of her eyes. Her head flew up like a balloon, larger and larger until you thought it was going to pop, with Carrie looming large over her peers like some sort of giant. Her head sprouted horns. And I think that's the horn thing is because I've never been afraid of Carrie, but if her head sprouted horns, that would be scary. Like, I was going into my bed earlier and I thought of that, and I was like, yeah, that's creepy. But I think the part about her head, like, getting big is kind of cringy. And the lightning bolts, I don't know, it would be interesting to read this version of it. However, this was changed because his friend insisted that Carrie needed a new ending, one that would make its readers weep in its final pages, not from horror, but from how deeply they felt for the girl. Your readers should be in tears by the book's end. I like the supernatural thing, though. Give her something other than lightning bolts, because originally, as I said, she was going to shoot lightning bolts out of her eyes and grow horns. Yeah, and I'd really like to see that, that draft of it. So Stephen King started rewriting it, adding more heart to the story, and replacing the lightning bolts in horns with a phenomenon he had recently read a magazine article on called telekinesis. I thought that was really, really interesting. Again, I think the part about becoming a giant is pretty cringy. I'm glad they took that out. Shooting light bulbs out of her eyes seems weird, and her head sprouting horns is actually scary. But honestly, that would imply she was a devil, though. In the final draft of the book, it's pretty clear she's an avenging angel. If she was a devil, I probably wouldn't like her much. I probably wouldn't be obsessed with Carrie if she was a demon. But yeah, so that's why I don't like that, even though it would be pretty scary. So it would be good for horror, but I just didn't like it in the symbolic way that I like to view Carrie. I'm still wondering how shooting light bulbs out of her eyes or becoming a giant would even, like how would that look on screen? Like, as a movie, like, how would you do that? But I would love to see this draft. Oh my god, like, Stephen King he's published deluxe editions where you can read, you can see his acceptance letter, you can see like an introduction from his wife discussing the symbolism and whatnot. I really hope someday he publishes this draft, like, because seems really interesting. But I feel like he probably threw it out. Like, when he edited it, he probably, like, backspaced. So, it's probably gone. But, yeah.